guys, so I'm actually almost home. This is day 2. I had long days of riding, so yeah, I bought a new motorcycle. Let's explain why I bought this. Um, it was kind of on a whim, a little bit of on a whim. Yesterday, I actually drove it. I picked it up in Montreal and drove to Montreal, Quebec, to Edmundston, New Brunswick, which is about 600 kilometers. And you guys may be able to see right here so far today, I'm at 729 kilometers, and I'm ready to be home. I'm ready to be home because I'm not tired of riding for sure. I'm just tired. It's been 2 extremely long days. Yesterday I rode. No, I didn't ride. Yesterday I flew to Montreal. So the night before, I was like, okay, I gotta get to bed early. So I did. I went to bed around 10 because my flight left at I don't know, 5:30 or something like that in the morning. So of course, a friend of mine, Dave, was going to drive me to the airport because he lives close to the airport. So I was staying there, and I went to bed, and my brain just started into like race mode. It was like, no, I'm not going to turn off. So the last time I remember looking at the clock, it was 1, and my alarm was set to get me up at 3:45, I think it was, because we were going to leave at 4. So not a lot of sleep. Anyways, I got to Montreal and went to the dealership, went over everything, blah 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 blah. Bought this bike, and it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock probably when I started heading home. And I didn't even really start heading home because I went to get something to eat because I hadn't eaten yet. So I pulled into Edmundston around 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And then this morning, I was up at 5:30, got myself all ready slowly, and then by 6:45 I was on the road. And it is currently 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so had a few stops. Met some friends, did a little back road ride with them instead of just being smart and coming home. Anyways, the main reason you're like, well, what's going on with the victory? What's going on with your victory? Well, so about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I did a little ride with some friends out to Tatamagouche, Nova Scotia, and everything was running good. But on the way back, number one, I lost my cruise control. It just decided, nope, I don't want to work anymore. So that was something. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can survive without it. It's, because I'm doing this big long trip, and the cruise control is going to be very handy because when you're riding for 24 days in a row, going through about 20,000 kilometers, being able to rest that throttle hand, it's kind of important, set the cruise and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna do this for 5 minutes or whatever it is, to just kind of rest it, right? So I was like, well, we'll see. So I went up to Cabot Trail for the Indian Riders Group celebration out there, and it's only like, I don't know, 400 and change kilometers to get from my house to Cabot Trail. And by the time I got there, I was like, oh, my wrist is so sore, because again, I didn't have anything. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll invest in like a throttle lock, something like that. Throttle lock, at least I'll be able to get my hand off the throttle a little bit. So I actually ordered one, but the following day she started, the transmission started feeling all wonky, and it was fine once it warmed up. Right, like once you had ridden it for like maybe 10-15 minutes, and I really only noticed it in first gear. But you'd start it, and again, it could just have been sitting for 10 minutes, or it could have been off all night. Didn't really matter. and you'd start it, and she was just like, catch, not catch, catch, not catch, catch, not catch. It was like the transmission was slipping until she got all warm. So at that point, I was like, that's not cool. Anyways, I went into the Indian dealer in Nova Scotia Raleigh, and I was like, so what are the chances that I can get my bike in before I go on this trip? And they were like, well, we can get it in on the 23rd, which as of now is 2 days from now. I was like, okay, but they're like, what's the issue? And so I told them I started off with the clutch, and I was like, again, I'm not too sure if maybe there's some electrical thing which is causing the transmission. I don't know, because I'm not a mechanic. But they're like, okay, so it could be one of 3 parts. And so normally what we have to do is we have to order all 3 parts, because again, we don't know how long it's going to, we don't know which part is causing the issue. So I was like, okay. And again, only on the 23rd. And they're like, yeah, it's going to take us minimum of like 10 business days for 2 of the parts, because they could see that they had them in stock wherever they get them from. So 10 to 14 days to get them, which was no good, right? Because 23rd, I'm leaving on the 31st, so that's already, and that's business days. That doesn't include weekends. So I'm looking at, if it was 14, I'm looking at like 18 days. So again, no good. And the third part, which he said it could be, is back ordered. So they have no idea when that part could come. So I was like, okay, so what you're saying is that I'm not going to get that fixed by the time I leave. And he's like, that is exactly what I'm saying. So I'm like, okay. So then I was like, okay, this trip it's not, it's something that I'm doing. It's not as if I could cancel it, because we've got everything booked. So a lot of it's paid for, non-refundable. Right, everybody's in the boat where it's all like divisible by 5, right? So for budgeting, and then I was of course worried about what happens if I'm wherever. What happens if I'm in, it doesn't matter, Montana or Michigan or wherever, and my clutch my transmission decides to go, right? Or the clutch decides to go, or whatever it is, and then I am done. So now I'm stranded. And if it's anything like here, where it's a minimum of 10 days to get the part, or again back ordered, and it could be who knows how long, I'm in trouble, right? Because I got to possibly leave the bike there. There's no way for me to get it back. I got to figure out how to get home, fly home, or whatever it is. Then I have to figure out how to get back and deal with everything over the phone with the dealer. So I was like, I'm not okay with that. So I ended up going online and being like, okay, so let's look at. And again, I was like, as much as I love my Victory. I was super excited to take the Victory, right, the cross country, because I got it all set up. I got my heel shifter, I got new handlebars, I got a backrest. It's got an incredible amount of storage. I had it all planned out, what I could take, where it was all going to go. It's blah blah blah. So I'm like, well, I can't really make do with anything too much smaller than the cross country. And honestly, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on a bike that I didn't love, right? I was like, oh, great, I bought a bike just because, and I'm not a fan of the bike. So I've always been a fan of the Victory. I've always really been a fan of the Indian. And actually, when I bought the Victory, there was a Indian Chieftain there, but I was like, oh, it didn't have the tour pack on it. So I was like, okay, so that's going to cost me X amount of money for a tour pack, and it didn't have a few other things that I wanted on it, And I was like, at that point in time, I was like, no, it just didn't make sense when I could buy the Victory for half the amount, right? So that's why I bought the Victory, not because it was my dream bike. Now, I am going to say, after riding this bike, and this is a Indian Chieftain RoadMaster Dark Horse. Long name, but that's what it is. Okay. After riding this bike, honestly, there's still some things that I prefer on the Victory. And I'll talk about that in a separate video. I'm heading out for a ride in a couple days to meet the guys that I'm going on this big trip with. So I'll do a follow-up video. I don't know if it'll be on this channel or the other channel. I'm not 100% sure. Probably on this channel. But I'll kind of talk about what I prefer on the Victory and what I prefer on this bike. Anyways, my hope is, and maybe I've said it before, my hope is that at my age now, being 52, that this could very well be my forever bike. I hope so, because I got payments on it now, so that's exciting. It's not exciting, but again, it was one of those things that I was trying to figure out my budget and what I thought I could afford weekly, and this fell into place, and the dealer was really good with with negotiating and stuff like that. Plus I got some swag, they were good enough. And I don't 100% know, because when I was talking to them online, because again in Montreal, I dropped the can I come in with a camera, which I ended up not even doing that, because I just I was so exhausted already and tired, and I was just like, I don't want to film anything. Anyways, they ended up being like, seeing the YouTube channel and seeing like that, and we're like, wow, you got a fair bit of subscribers, da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, that's nice of you. And all of a sudden they were like, hey, here's a free shirt, and hey, here's a free hat, and here's. So sometimes it's good. I would have loved for them to say, here's a free motorcycle, because that would have been fantastic, but no. Anyways, this is probably a bike that I have wanted in a long time. I've always loved the Indian brand. I've loved the styling. Now this is a little different in regards to the styling than the I want to say older ones, but ones that came out pre 2020. This is a 2020. This one has like the shorter fender and stuff like that, which doesn't have that really big, like that classic Indian style. Whatever, it's fine. I actually prefer the look of this bike. It just has a little bit more of a modern look, which I like. And the other thing for me, which I love, and I have to tinker around with it, I figured out a fair bit, but there's a few things I have to figure out. It is got a lot more tech, so I don't have to add anything. Right now, everything's on this screen. This is my current ride, and my speed, and my tire pressure, and my miles per gallon, liters per 100 kilometers. I can tab through this, and you'll see it's loading navigation. Now, right now, I have to play with the navigation because I can't quite figure out if it's needs an update, because I was using it to get home from where I was with the guys that I just met up before I did the video, and it was telling me to turn on roads, and I'm like, there is no road there. Like there is no road. I don't quite understand. And the other thing is I can't quite figure out. It seems to only want to search in a nearby. Like I can't. Like when I was in Montreal, I was like, okay, so put in Edmundston, which is like 600 kilometers away, and it was like, I have no idea where Edmundston is. I'm like, how do you not know where Edmundston is? It's a fairly big city, but when I was close, like, I don't know, maybe like 100 kilometers, maybe 200 kilometers away from it, it found it. It was like, yeah, I got it. We're good. But I'm like, I want to be able to search far. I want to, because that's kind of pointless to only search around where you are. So I have to figure out why it's doing that, number one. And again, I want to see if there's a software update for it, which could be something. But navigation, phone, music player, so I have my phone Bluetooth to it right now. This is like a 200-watt stereo in it, so it's pretty loud, which is good. And you can kind of come here and toggle around and do whatever, right? There's my battery and my, again, all kinds of stuff. You can play around with whatnot, which is cool. And check this out, right? Look at that, power windscreen. Yeah, so if I need some air because I'm just like, I'm cooking hot, I can bring it down. If I'm on the highway, I can put it up. That's pretty sweet. Is it a gimmick? Actually, not really. I used it a lot coming home because if I was riding through a town, I'd bring it down because it's been hot the last 2 days, 28 to 30 degrees. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm down with not being cooking hot for sure. Yeah, anyways, that's the story. That's the story on why I got this bike. And like I said, I think we'll do a follow-up video in regards to my thoughts on it. I put two full days of riding on this. Full. Like if someone said, "Have you done a good test ride on it?" I'm at whatever 1,300 kilometers. So already, you can't ask for much better of a demo ride. Not that it's a demo ride because I own it, but you know what I mean, right? It's enough to give you my thoughts on it. Anyways, that's it. For you guys that know me, watch the channel, I'm pretty close to home right now, and I'm excited to go sit on the couch and just not be outside right now. Alright guys, that's it. 2020 Indian RoadMaster. Super exciting. Alright guys, somebody's selling lemonade. Yeah. I wonder if they have a business license. Oh, funny. This guy is not going fast. What's happening here? Why are we doing 20? Alright, anyway, I'm out. We will see you guys next video. Later.